My name is Whitney Collins, a 32-year-old pediatric nurse living in Springfield, Ohio, USA. 3 days ago, I woke up from surgery and saw 14 missed calls on my phone while still weak from anesthesia. My two children, Ethan, 7, and Lily, 5, were sitting alone on a neighbor's porch for hours. The people I trusted most, my parents Linda and Robert Collins, had left them there without supervision. I called my mother from my hospital bed, still dizzy and recovering. She answered calmly like nothing was wrong and said the children were fine, but I already knew from my neighbor Mrs. Helen Carter that they had been left outside crying and waiting. When I asked my mother why she left them, she said my sister Jessica Collins needed her for a salon appointment. In that moment, something inside me broke because it wasn't just one mistake. It was a lifetime of being last in my own family while my sister was always first. I had always been the responsible one, the one who never complained, the one who showed up for everyone, but my children had been left behind just like I had been my whole life. My surgery had been planned weeks in advance at Riverside Community Hospital, and I had arranged everything carefully for just 4 hours of childcare. My husband Daniel Collins was away in Chicago for work, so I trusted my parents completely. I packed everything for my kids, wrote instructions, and believed they would be safe. But while I was unconscious in surgery, my children were sitting alone outside my parents' house waiting. Mrs. Carter found them and took them in, gave them food, and called me immediately. Hearing that my 7-year-old was taking care of his 5-year-old sister because no adult was there destroyed me more than the surgery pain ever could. After hearing the truth, I stopped defending my family in my mind. I started remembering every moment I was ignored before this day, missed school events, forgotten birthdays, empty seats at important moments in my life. I realized this was not a single failure but a repeated pattern where my sister's needs always came first and mine were always considered optional. That night in the hospital, I made a decision. I would no longer allow people who failed to protect my children to have access to them again. I changed my house locks, removed my parents from school pickup lists, updated my will, changed my insurance beneficiaries, and replaced every emergency contact connected to my children's safety. Everything was done quietly but permanently. When I returned home, my parents came as if nothing had happened. My mother brought food and tried to enter my house using her old key, but the lock had already been changed. I opened the door and told her calmly that the key no longer worked. I showed her the documents proving she had been removed from every legal responsibility involving my children. My father tried to justify everything by saying it was a misunderstanding, and my sister said I was overreacting, but I told them clearly that leaving children alone for convenience was not a mistake, it was a choice. My mother saw my son's drawing at the table, where he had drawn her outside the house, and for a moment she went silent because even a child understood what had happened. They left without entering my home. After that day, there were no more explanations I needed to give. My children slowly adjusted, but I stopped expecting fairness from people who had already shown me who they were. I realized that protecting my children meant breaking a pattern I had tolerated my entire life. It was painful, but it was necessary. The moral lesson here is simple: in life, especially within families, love without responsibility becomes harm. Islam strongly teaches respect for family, but it also teaches justice, accountability, and protection of trust, amana. Children are a trust, and anyone who fails that responsibility cannot expect access without change. Family ties are important, but they are never meant to excuse neglect or repeated harm. Sometimes the most responsible thing a parent can do is set boundaries, even within their own family. This story is a reminder to ask yourself, if someone repeatedly puts your children last, how many chances are too many? And are you protecting your family, or just protecting the idea of family?